Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm redoing two videos back to back that I filmed them, went to edit them, and they were all messed up, corrupted files. So I gotta redo this, and it's a commission I finished up. One of the lists of people who've been waiting for a very long time, very patient person. So this is just a prime example of somebody that I love working with. Ideal person to extreme patience and understanding. Just like, here's the stuff, what do I need? It's so easy to work with, so easy to work for. Thank you so much for that, Aaron. I have his Saberforge Arbiter, which he sent me a while ago. We spent a few ways going about it because once I got it in hand, some of the game plans changed, and we got the wrong battery at one point, swapped that out. But the main problem that I was running into was space. So this thing has about this far to install to, because this is a Saberforge apprentice line. The apprentice lines only open at the pommel. Normally with a saber like this, what would be ideal is the body opens underneath the switch section, so that way you can unthread this, and that way we would be able to do things. So I probably could have done a removable body, but the problem I was looking at was the pommel was not going to thread on all the way. This pommel comes to a dead stop at the threads, so as soon as it goes in, it stops, it's done. There's just no space left. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do a pommel to where it was like just barely going on, a quarter turn and it's on. I wanted this thing to seat in there, be tight, sound resonance, everything good. He was cool with whatever was easiest, and I was like, all right, we're gonna do old school then. And this is a sled chassis. Since he was patient and awesome, I got the switch from Rock Sabers, dual tactile up top, and then I did an external recharge port, and I custom made a holder for the 2.1 recharge port, so you're not using the old dinky plastic ones that are cheap and whatnot. They look cheap and they just look like plastic. So, and then I grinded it down to where it's a nice flush circle. It doesn't look like a hexagon bolt or something like that. It looks, you know, it looks just a little bit more in universe as we could get it with that. So the install on this is a CFX. We have a CC Sabers lit NeoPixel connector, a 28mm darkside speaker, and a 18650 custom Saber Shop Hydrain 15 amp Hydrain battery, which is pretty standard for NeoPixel. And so what I did was, and I'll talk about the install on this after I do the blade demo and everything, for somebody who's interested in these, because these apprentice lines are kind of notorious for that. They, you know, you only have a little bit, but you're just going to take your palm, and you don't even have to do it very hard, dude. Just boop, a little bit, just to get that speaker out. And then you can kind of pull on it. It has just enough slack to come out for you to get that card. That's about as far as you ever really want to pull it out. You put your kill key in, pull the speaker out, grab that SD card, make your changes and whatnot, and then slide this guy back, touching the ends, slide it back, and then your pommel, when you put it on, will do the rest. Very standard, very old school. I tend to enjoy it. The only time you ever need to open this guy is to get the SD card. So this thing is just ready to play with at all times. Let's go ahead and turn it on.
So you're from a race too stupid to recognize Jedi.
Oh, and it is very loud. So because of the compact aspect and the speaker ventilation, I mean, this thing has like a ½ inch of resonance. This thing sounds really loud. You may want to turn your speaker down, honestly, here. Very, very good sound.
Spectrum.
Looks really good in red and green and amber. Alright, let's put the blade in there and play with it. So what I will say is, obviously, this top is your retention screw. blade plug comes out. Came with the saber. It's really cool. I love these blade plugs they do. I know a lot of people hate on Saberforge, but I've always enjoyed their hilts, and they've only taken a lot of better steps in becoming a better company. So I can't really hate on anybody who tries to better themselves. The CC Saber's pixel connector down in there. What I will say is don't mess with this guy, because you got to get just the right height. Because of these window emitters, they go all the way down to pretty much where the pixel starts. So yeah, you gotta just leave that guy there. No need for you to adjust it anyways, you know. And then the other thing I will say, my blade actually isn't all that great. I've realized this on some of these. The pixels, I gotta do a little bit better of a job. This is a very old blade. It's kind of like, I made this thing years ago, whenever NeoPixel first kind of became a thing. You know, most blades, you'll want to get a really good amount of light all the way down to the base, because this sucker goes right, like my connector is like right at the bottom there. So mine doesn't look that good, but if you have a pre-made blade nowadays, it should look really great. And by what I mean is I have a little bit of shadow down there at the bottom. It still looks good, like it still sells it very well, but my blade's just not the best. So when it comes to like 100% illumination, I've got 97% illumination. Oh, well, let's just go to green. Come on now. Look at that. This saber is so comfortable. I really love this area right here. And then you got a little thin waist and that. I mean, this thing is made to swing, buddy.
When my patience ends, bad things tend to happen.
Now, I only changed a few settings, kind of to what I normally have.
Sound bank selection.
Oh, sounds really good. One thing I love about having an external recharge port on some sabers, you know, people will be like, let me get a rumble motor, and I'm like, you don't need one if you got good resonance, boy. When you hold right here, it feels like the saber is alive on the inside. It's vibrating a little bit. It feels really cool.
Spectrum.
Oh, that looks good. Well, that always looks good. Very comfortable, very fun to swing.
Spectrum.
It looks great in all these colors. Really cool. Really nice saber. You gotta love it. And of course, there's a lot of colors to choose from. with the new firmware. All right, so there we go, man. I hope you enjoy it. I've really grown to like this one a lot. It just feels good. It looks menacing. It's really cool. One thing I did was you didn't have a cover tech wheel on it or a D-ring or anything, so I put one on there for you. If for some reason you took yours off and you just didn't want it, then let me know. I'll ask you, obviously, and I'll take this guy back. But if not, it's yours. You can have it. That should be it, man. Battery recharge. Just plug a recharge 2.1mm smart charger in there, charge it up, you're good to go. All right, guys, that'll do it for this. If anybody has any questions on the install, to do a tight install like this, especially for my friend Cody, who new type Sith, he'll be doing an install on a hilt very similar to this, the Kree, the Mandalorian looking one. What I do is I wired up the NeoPixel, fed it all the way through, and then I wired up everything with the board and the recharge port. I did the speaker, I did the switches last. So basically what I ended up doing was you take this guy and you wire it up, right? And you get it to where you know it's a comfortable angle. So like once my recharge port's all wired, all that stuff's wired, everything's good to go. And I got to about this distance right here, and I was like, okay, that's what I want. Then I took the recharge port, which is about, 4 wires total. I usually run 2 positives off of the recharge, one to meet up with the Neo and one to go directly to the battery. I got the length that I wanted, marked that off. Then what I did was I pushed the chassis in, made sure everything closed and fit well. And then I took the distance, trimmed it 1 wire at a time, make sure you have your recharge port in, so there's no power to the battery when you do this. Never cut your wires 2 at a time if it's direct linked to something. I tend to not do it anyways, just out of not having that habit of cutting wires at the same time, because you could bridge something. So cut 1 wire and then cut the other wire. If you cut both of them, the metal, whatever scissors or whatever you're using, snippers, those can cause a bridge and fry your battery or your board. So be mindful of that. Do it 1 at a time, do it slow and all of that. But then what that did was that made it to where I trimmed my wires down to like right about here, resoldered all the recharge port, twisted it up a little bit, tucked it in, and secured it. Then after all that, I had the wires for the switches come up out here, and I did the same treatment there, tucked that in. So at the end of the day, you're playing Chinese finger trap, but once you get that all good, that wire eliminates all that slack, then you eliminate all of your wire space in here, and you make it to where that just comes out just enough. So just a little something for somebody who's curious on this kind of install. That's how I did it. It's very old school, very classic, but hope you enjoyed, Aaron, and I will talk to you about it soon. And I got more videos coming, so thank you guys so much, and until next time, may the force be with you.
Scruffy looking.